What's up, All In Nation? What's up, you guys? All you listeners. That's right. We just gave you guys a little bit of a title. We want you guys to feel a part of this just as much as Luke and I are. So, from now on, the cardboard community, that's still there, but we want to reference our listeners as All In Nation. You guys are the ones why we keep doing this. And also, side note to that too, huge shout out to our Patreon subscribers. You guys help this wheel move even more. You guys are the engine. All In Nation is like the wheel. Let's just say it like that. If you want to be part of the wheel,
just showing examples. I feel like I'm watching a PowerPoint.
If you want to be part of the engine, if you want to be a piston in the engine, you can join the Patreon right now at patreon.com/AITDpod. The link is in the description of the episode. Shout out to Tony, Starla, Sam, Luke, Jacob, and Tyler. Yo, you guys are the best. Thank you all so much. Guys, on this episode, we're going to have a lot of nostalgia. We're going to go back a little ways here. Everything anybody can relate to. This also goes with the question of the week, too. Also, guys, the Discord is back. We brought back the Discord. You can find the link of that in our profile. Come join. Come be a part of the cardboard community that's on there. We got a fun group right now going. Come add to the conversation. It's going to be a blast. Also, huge shout out to Lindsay, Luke's sister-in-law. Thanks so much for the support, Lindsay. Appreciate you so much. Guys, but furthermore, episode 145, all right? Here we go. We got to this one address. I said, this one goes around back. He went around back, boom, drove off, left them right at the stop.
That was after getting hit by a car.
You got hit by a car?
I ended up drinking 24 Bud Lights in about 48 minutes. Drunken nomad stumbles out in the road and he hit me going 30 miles an hour.
What's up, everybody, and thank you for joining us on this episode of All in the Delivery. I just stuttered. All in the Delivery. This is episode 145. Yeah, we're almost to 150. What the hell? Luke and I really couldn't wait to start this one, and there was only one thing that was getting in the way, and that was our job, to be honest. We were talking about this at like 1 o'clock this afternoon about how we want to record so bad, and we want to record this one so bad, but there was just one thing in the way, and that was our job. But hopefully you guys are listening while you're on the job. Anyways, it got in the way. And now, we're here. We made it. We made it. We're also live on YouTube for this one as well. So huge shout out to people that are here on YouTube. Also, if you guys have anything funny showing up in the comments, I will totally post it on the screen, and we will discuss it. But let me introduce to you guys my co-host. You know him down in West by God, Virginia.
Fuck.
Luke, how are you, buddy?
Well, dude, I will say that when you mentioned that Discord earlier, I was saying to Dave, I was like, now that you can put voice messages in that thing, because I don't think you were ever able to do that before, because we had Discord a while ago. I feel like it's so crazy, just in the short time we were off of recording, which we've been at it now, closing in on a year again with August around that time. But if you think about it, like with the year and a half we were off, just think of the advancement that AI made. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
dude,
this is true.
I mean, all this stuff that just was blowing, but I mean, I just wanted to. I could really got off the rabbit and went down the rabbit hole with that. But yeah, I mean, as far as work goes, this probably will be my Friday as we record. I think you've had some missing air and stuff as well, right? Air and
dude,
we've had ground as well.
Those storms that happened over, the whole middle part of the country there, literally north to south. There was like tornado warnings everywhere. So, first of all, I hope all of our listeners that were in the path of those storms. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everybody's doing well down there. But yeah, dude, we've been missing some air from the Louisville Center for like 2 days now.
Yeah,
So-
we have got tomorrow will be day 3 of air, but I also feel like we may get ground from. I feel like we get more than just air from Louisville where I'm at, but we've been. They sent a message out because we're going to have an influx of air, is what they said, and I told them that I would, if they needed me, I'd be available. But now that it's done and there's stuff to do, like, I mean, I've said it now for a few episodes because it's an almost finished process, but it's still an ongoing process. My basement is just absolutely just trashed right now. From like all the work that's being done.
No.
The dudes that were down here, I've got trash bags full of wires that but like it's I've got work to do, and it's like one of those things where I'm probably, and it's supposed to rain. Like we've had flooding where not luckily where I'm at. It hasn't been that bad, but in the southern part of the state, man, they got hit hard. It's flooding pretty bad down there. It was in the I mean, we were kind of, we didn't have any tornadoes or anything, but I think what they had told me today was we were actually good to get our stuff, and we had a mechanical error today for us. But like, yeah, the weather's been impeding, and like Dave said, for any of the listeners that are in those areas, I know Brad was in here earlier, and I've always said that and brought up Brad when we always talk about weather, because I like, when you watch the news and you see these hurricanes and they show these charts and they make it look, so bad. And I'm not saying, some of them aren't, obviously there are devastating hurricanes. I'm not trying to downplay that, but like storms and shit. And I remember I looked at this thing, and like looking at the chart, it was like the whole eye was like right over Naples where Brad was at. And I was like, dude, they're going to get, and then I call him, and he's like, he ain't even fucking, he just just, you know what I mean? It's just like to a Florida person, it's just a fucking Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, they're a different breed with the hurricane. Like, we don't get hurricanes here because we're too far, we're too far really inland. We're not, we do get tornadoes from time to time, but we, with the mountains and how far we don't experience like that kind of, so shit. I mean, and I'm glad I'm not sitting here like, man, I wish we could experience what a hurricane feels like. Fuck no, man. Keep them fucking things out of this, earthquakes, all that shit, man. We don't have too many natural disasters here, so that's one thing we got. One thing we got going.
Yeah, dude. It's 2 days now without air, with the Louisville air, anyway. So, like, there was our people that still get the pay stubs and paychecks. That the paychecks hasn't even come in yet for our drivers. So, yeah, I'm
sure we probably still have ones that get pay stubs they cash in. The only one that I used to know got fired, unfortunately, but it was that's another story, but it wasn't, he was the only one that I knew of that still, he liked to deposit that thing. That's what he said. It just felt good to go deposit it. And I'm sitting over here, I've had 2 stubs in almost 18 years.
Yeah.
Well, Smasher 1, Union
Luke,
Box Smashers in there.
You've had yourself a hell of a day, buddy.
Oh, you want to get into that shit, literally?
Yes. What's up,
man?
UBS Smasher? Yeah. So earlier today, Luke and I were on the phone, and Nate as well. I don't even know how it started. Yeah, your lunch. Well, we're about to start talking about Poop Smasher, so you're about to be in for this one. So we're,
this was bad.
So Luke goes to get lunch at
and I do a quick thing because I had a section today that I normally don't have that's kind of away from my pickups. And because I had the possibility of maybe working tomorrow if I wanted to, I was going to try to get that done before I had to do my pickups, was what my main thing was. But I was hungry because, like I said to Dave, when you have kind of a routine, and I have a pretty consistent routine. I normally will take my break at around 2:00 every day. And even if I'm home, if I can make it to my house, it's normally within that time, if not a little earlier then. So normally always by 2, I've ate something. And I just swung by. I punched out for like it was like 10 minutes. I think it was like 7 minutes. I think I punched out because I was like, I wasn't trying to take too much break then because I just was like kind of over the day. But we've had shitty weather. It's pissed the rain down. We have had some flooding here, and it's just like I'm over it. So I get this chicken salad bistro fucking wrap out of the fucking ready to go shit, and I mean, it was like I may as well. I just inserted that thing into my body, and it was just coming out of my asshole. I hate to say it like that, but that's it. I haven't had that emergency shit in a while. But yeah. I'll go ahead. Like, we're all on the phone, and I'm like not saying anything much at first. Like, I'm telling them. I think I hinted it. I don't know when I started to hint. Like it was
I
bad.
Got a shit.
So I like. The problem is I knew that if I had to break to go take a shit. One, I wasn't in my normal area. Like, I live in this area, but it's not fucking, it's it's just like I've literally have to relive this after it just happened today, man. This was traumatizing because I was sitting there like, I knew it was coming, but I was going to try to see if I could get these stops done, which I unfortunately couldn't, but I mean, I don't know what part do you want to talk about, because this was ongoing. I was in trouble.
No, it was just like, it was just so funny to, like, on our side of the conversation, it was hysterical because you're over there and then you just start making these like, these awkward noises. Like, Luke's over there, it's like, oh God. He's like, oh God. He just starts making these awkward noises. Nate and I are like, yo, you good? He's like, oh, I got a shit and I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it. He's like, I might shit my pants. And just like Luke and I, or Nate and I, we're laughing hysterically of these uncontrollable noises that are coming out of Luke. Yeah, we were driving. I'm on like a back road that's like 1.5 lanes wide. There's a motorcycle coming down. My eyes are tearing up because I'm laughing so hard as I'm driving. And I was like trying not to hit the motorcycle. Nate's over there. He's like, my stomach hurts. We're laughing so hard because Luke the entire time is just like, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And then finally, he's like, the worst part about it was like, you were in a spot, like you were delivering in a spot that's never usually on your route, which just like, it just fucked you up a little bit, I guess. And
yeah, it did.
And
dude.
Like, you didn't know where to go. You were struggling. And, we've all been there at least once where it's just one of those emergencies. So then Luke's like, hold on a second. He's like, hospital. He's like, the hospital. And he starts driving.
Hold on. Before we go to that, I want to say I had the bright idea. So people, any man, or it's probably the same for women. I'm just saying, because women don't have, there's penises and vaginas.
We all have an asshole.
If you have to piss, if you have to piss when you have to take a shit, normally it's
try
not
to
a good
relieve
idea.
some pressure.
It's never a good idea to take a piss when you have to take a shit, because it makes it worse, does it not? It makes it fucking worse.
You got to pucker up a little more.
I'm like dying here, and I've got. So what I do, and I've said this before, Ernie Martinez, shout out to you, Ernie, because the unicorn himself will appreciate. I drink Ghost Energy, so I'll just leave Ghost Energy cans. I throw them out at the end of the day, but I will just have a Ghost Energy can empty, and that's what I'll pull I'll take the tab off, pull the thing back, and piss in that, dump it out. Like John Waddell always said, if you have a piss bottle, why not dump it out? Why do you take it for a ride? So I've always taken that to heart.
Taking it home and put it on the trophy case.
I have this idea, like, I have to take a piss real bad too, and I'm like in this housing area where there's nowhere to go. There's not leaves on trees in the small area that I could possibly sneak off at, and I go to take a piss in the Ghost Energy can, and dude, I mean, just as I just said earlier, just how everybody is, it made it worse. And I started laughing uncontrollably because I thought it was coming. Like, I felt like I was going to fucking go, I was going to look down and it was just going to splatter down my fucking leg.
Dude, it's so true. He did start, I forgot about that part. He did start, like, uncontrollably laughing.
I mean,
he's just there. And, like, I'm like, Luke, you good? He's like, I'm trying to pee. And then, like, all of a sudden, it's like, like, y'all know Luke for his deep voice on here. But when he uncontrollably was laughing, it was all like sounded like Mickey Mouse and shit. It's like, it's just like, I'm just like, you good, bro? Like, what's going on, dude? He's like, I think I'm about to shit my pants. Like,
can you imagine if the people that were fucking, just that I was delivering to, can you imagine if they were standing outside waiting for me, just heard me laughing like that in the back of that truck, like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Oh my God.
But so anyway, like Dave said, hospital, and
you made it.
When I made it to the hospital, the public restroom
Wait. The best part was you got stuck behind a school bus that was letting off kids.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, Luke's like, get the fuck out of the way. It's just like,
I'm like trying so hard
keep fucking moving.
Dude,
You weren't even sitting down. You weren't even sitting down, you said.
No.
You said you were standing the entire time.
By the time I passed those kids... When I passed those kids, I stood up and stood on the fucking... I couldn't even sit anymore because I had to shit so bad. And so when I get to the hospital... When I get to the hospital, there's obviously people leaving, visiting and stuff. So I'm seeing people and I'm just trying... I'm trying so hard to fucking... Yeah, I'm just trying so hard to, like, maintain myself. So when I go into the fucking bathroom... There is a fucking probably half a roll of toilet paper and a big pile of shit. I don't even know if it's going to flush. It was disgusting. And I had to shit so bad that I just had to gamble. I had to fucking try to see if it would have started overflowing, I would have got the fuck out of there and then probably just had to shit in the... I don't know what I would have done. I would have had to have been like, listen, you got a problem in there. It wasn't me. You saw me just walk in. But luckily it went down and... The rest is history,
dude.
But damn, that was the.
You made it.
I haven't had a call
bro.
I haven't had that happen. Like, because when I'm in my own area, I know exactly where to go. Rather, if it's an emergency where I have some privacy outside, or if I have gas stations, right? Like right there in that very spot. There's nothing that's like right there other than the hospital.
Man,
thank God.
But you made it. You made it out the other side.
Literally, dude.
Without a mess.
I don't know how, but fuck, that was rough. Like I said, I haven't had. That was the closest call. That's the closest I've ever came to shitting my pants on route was today. 100%. Like I've had some close ones, but dude, yeah, because I mean, and I told Dave that Nate too. I was telling him that I don't live like that area that I have is not far from where I live, so I just would have had to have gone home. I mean, I just would have to went home, got myself situated.
God, dude, what a day! What a day! Ah. Man, I'm
Dude,
sorry, Nate and I were laughing so hysterically.
I don't like I said, dude. I wasn't
literally.
upset for you guys laughing, dude. It's fucking hilarious. It's like I didn't feel like. Trust me, I didn't feel victimized or nothing, dude. If it was the other end around, I'd have been cracking up. Like but the thing that also made it funnier for me, like humorous, is that I was like, I felt it coming. I should have just nipped it in the butt right away and just went and took a shit when I was still like, because like literally right when I left Sheets, there were other places I could have went passing to that area, but once like I was like not, it was just. Aside from that hospital, I was probably like just far enough out of range, like probably a mile and a half away from the closest place, like just enough to where I would have been, and stoplights and shit in between this, where it would have been like that mile and a half would have felt like I was driving fucking an hour probably.
That's insane. That's insane,
man.
Good times. Good times.
Good times. I wish we could have, like Nate said. After we should have had that one recorded, but dude,
I know
it was just in the moment. You can't. I mean, I don't think there's just some shit that's just meant to not be. And I wish it would have been now because, dude, it was bad. But I don't know. When those kids, I hate yelling, and I wasn't yelling at those kids, like, but I was internally screaming, like, get out of the fucking road. And you know, you have to go slow. You can't fucking whiz by these kids. And I'm like, of all times that I can't, dude. And as soon as I got off the street and was away, that's when I stood up and pedal to the fucking metal.
Yes. Guys, also real quick, I know I mentioned the Patreon stuff earlier. Well, this is limited time only right now. This is going until Friday, April the 18th. All right. If you guys are interested in joining the Patreon family, you can use promo code AITD50, AITD50 for 50% off your first month. So come hang out with us. Come be a part of the engine that runs this podcast. AITD50, guys. Go use the promo code. Come hang out. Get some behind the scenes stuff and some fun stories from Luke. You guys will have access to all the library of all that, our past phone calls, all that stuff too. So. And the Discord back. I know we talked about that too. So
I'm
definitely
telling you, dude,
come join that because that's going to be a blast.
It's exciting. Yeah, the Discord is, like I said, that's for anybody that wants to hop in.
Yeah,
you don't have to. I mean, there's just that is. But yeah, I'm excited for everything we got going. But as far as like,
yeah, there's some exciting things going on.
Once you kind of get, because we took a little bit of, you know, just enough time. I feel like that's another thing that people, if there's anybody out there, I know last week's guest Kali was, you know, talking about starting up a podcast, and to the level of however you want to do it. If you want to try to do it to where you're a weekly show and you have a lot of episodes, and I mean, I would, especially in the field we're in, but even if you're not in a, you know, even if whatever work, I mean, I don't think it just, I think it's almost, I can't say detriment, like I don't want to say detrimental ain't the right word. It is it's essential, I feel like, to try I don't know, I think other podcasts, other people, like ones that I listen to, I'm sure they have ways around it, but you have to, I think, having just like, we took like 2 weeks off, really. I mean, we pre-recorded a couple episodes, and you take you take some time off, and then I feel like you come back refreshed, you think of some new, like, you don't get stagnant, you know what I mean? And maybe that's, I don't know, I just feel like it's I like the way, like when we with the Discord and just things we were talking about, and speaking of, you know, getting more outreach and just different ideas that I feel like, you know, I don't know if it just, but yeah, I'm just saying, that's like probably the worst advice to give to people that are just starting a podcast. Be like, make sure you take time off. But when you when you do it for a while and you try to do, sure. It really is. So, you know, it's So yeah, it's like when you have these little, and then of course, having a story that like today that doesn't normally happen when we're ever on the phone together, and just other, you have episodes you get excited about, and we got some other stuff.
Oh yeah,
this is going to be kind of revolving, getting towards the question of the week, but we had some nostalgic memories we were talking about, and we were just talking about, because Dave's I guess we could say your sons they won the championship in their little peekaboo league.
I got my 6-year-old, my 4-year-old both playing basketball, and they're both playing on the same team. My 6-year-old is more into it than my 4-year-old is. He's 4. He's still just just crazy and running around and doesn't really care too much about the basketball thing at that age. So, but what was funny about it all, but yeah, they ended up winning the championship, all that good stuff this past week. Anyways, my 4-year-old, we ended up getting him like a new pair of sneakers, and he's at the age now where we just let him pick it out. And we were online and we were scrolling and we were looking at these shoes, and they had nice pair of Nike high tops that with the Velcro top to it, for kids, obviously. And they had 6 different colorways for these shoes, and he picked the one that he wanted, which was pink, white, and black. So that was the one that he wanted, and we got it for him. Came next day, and they had a game that night, the championship game. And my 4-year-old was so stoked for his new sneakers to come in that he wanted to actually participate in the basketball game, where before, I was saying, he doesn't really care that much for it. But because of his shoes, he was oh yeah, new shoes, I want to go play basketball. And that really brought Luke and I back separately to where it's dude, you remember things when we were young, and I think one example was the movie The Sandlot, which if you haven't seen it yet, go see it.
I don't know. I feel like anybody around our age,
you would think,
right. 10 years older or younger around our age would have. Man, yeah, that's such an iconic movie.
Absolutely.
I'd hope so anyway.
Absolutely. And the best part about that movie was as a kid, Benny the Jet Rodriguez gets these PF Flyers, is what they're called. Ultimately is the same exact shoe as the Chuck Taylors. So, we were oh, dude, all the kids wanted those PF Flyers when we were little, just thinking it's going to make us run faster and jump higher, and then it just started really branching out from there. And the next part was Luke bought up those, what were they called?
The pump shoes. And I fucking hate, if you want to look this up, because I'm on the YouTube live too, I don't know if they were Nike or Reebok. We were trying to figure out what company made the pumps, but
man,
the
Nike, Reebok, or what was the other one?
Adidas? It wouldn't have been Adidas. They weren't Adidas. It had to be either Nike or Reebok that did pumps. I feel like there wasn't really anything. I mean, it could have been Converse. Possibly they were still around at that point, but I mean, relevant at that point. But so I said that probably the biggest con in the history of sporting shoes or any type of thing for sports, were the pumps. Because I'm telling you, I told Dave I used to pump them motherfuckers up till I was cutting off circulation in my feet. And there's probably people that have damage now from not.
You ready for this?
Yes. What do we got?
Reeboks.
Reebok. Okay, they were Reebok.
Look at those things, bro.
Dude, I remember. Holy shit. Reebok did. Because Shaq may have.
Was Shaq an endorsement of it?
Shaq was with Reebok, I'm pretty sure. And that would have been...
Here we go. Introducing the pump. by Reebok. It's the first shoe with a built-in pump that inflates to give you a personalized fit you control with your fingertips. You pump up by squeezing the ball on the tongue and release air with the valve on back. You've never seen or felt a shoe like this before. Check it out.
Man,
Reebok
I wonder what
basketball.
happened to him. Dude, they should bring those back. Look at those fucking things, dude. The pumps were. I said in the chat here that Sean Kemp, who was a forward for the Seattle SuperSonics, played with Gary Payton back in the 90s and maybe the not early 80s, but late 80s too. I'm not sure when Sean Kemp came into the league, but I had his shoes. I think those were the first ones I actually played basketball in. But dude, the pumps, I truly believed that those things made me jump higher if I pumped them up. And now, like reading the advertisement, it is, the fit is what they're saying.
It's more about the fit, the way it's
like
an airbag around your foot.
I feel like as kids, though, you thought if you pumped that thing up, you were going to jump higher.
You were going to pump up,
did.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted it. We weren't thinking about the fit, but we were just cutting off our fucking circulation to the bottom of our feet. We were doing a lot of damage to our bodies back then. Didn't even realize it. I didn't realize I was probably I was gonna say before I was doing damage to my body with consuming beverages long before I was drinking alcohol. But so
this is Dave one I do not remember.
Dave does.
I did not remember this drink.
And because it was a flashbang. But for those that remember, Josta.
If you remember, comment, please. Comment on this episode. Comment on the post we just post on Instagram about this episode. And comment if you remember this drink.
Josta. Their logo was a panther. And it was like a regular, you'd buy it in a 20-ounce fucking bottle like any other regular pop or soda you would get. But the difference with this was, like, when I looked it up earlier, it was the first really ever energy drink introduced in the United States. And it was I was like 10 years old drinking this shit. And there was like, the energy drink stuff, guarana, caffeine, the fucking works. And it just disappeared. Like, I mean, as fast as it was there, it said, when I looked it up, it said it came out in 95, which checks out because I was in 5th grade. And they were, I remember it was around for a couple years and then gone. And when we Googled it, it was Pepsi. It's a Pepsi product, and it came out in 95, and they got rid of it in 1999 said something for I forget. It was like a business term, but I told Dave, I said it was probably because fucking like 8, 9, 10-year-old kids were just fucking housing this shit, and it was just bouncing them off the fucking walls, and parents were probably revolting because dude, I mean, when they looked up what was in it, we had all these rumors with Josta we had heard, and I told Dave I didn't even know what horny meant. I just heard like older kids. I was in 5th grade. This was before the internet. I had an older sister, but I didn't have an older brother, or I didn't hear like anything, so I had no clue what horny meant. And like where I went in middle school, it must have been like one of the junior high kids said something, and I went home, and Ernie Martinez, what's up, Ernie? He had pumps back in the day. I love it, but dude, I'm just saying that these fucking I said it was, I told my stepmom and my dad that I was like, Josta makes you horny. And they were like, no, I think you mean it makes you hyper. I'm like, no, it makes you horny. And I'm just remember saying that to them, and then I'll just like stupid shit. But yeah, it was the first fucking cat. So Ernie's a couple years older than me. Do you remember Josta, Ernie? I mean, I'm Josta the fucking. It wasn't branded as an energy drink. Well, the only reason I saw it is they said it was the first fucking official one because it had the right shit, which a fucking elementary and middle school age kids shouldn't be
so
fucking
crazy.
Just housing, and we were just destroying.
Picture like a 10-year-old just
everybody loved it.
Downing a Red Bull right now. Like
that's
what it was like.
Yeah, just imagine. We're just. I mean, it was the Wild West. It was a different time. It's a different time back then.
God, I love it.
They weren't looking at labels, seeing what was in it. They're like, Jesus.
Nobody was looking to see if there was red food dye in it or anything, you know?
Oh, dude, you saw how red that shit was. That shit was probably 95% red fucking dye.
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. They were probably squeezing it in with both hands each fucking dude. Yeah, it was. Right. What a time.
And then, we thought about, other things, going back to, things as a child, you look forward to and things, you think you're going to be better at something if you got it. And I was for, me, I would say it would probably have to be, the skateboard. When I was a teenager. I honestly believed that, a new deck would, get me to ollie higher. Or be better at tricks and all that, and I don't know, dude. It's crazy. Just to have that mindset again would be absolutely, I don't know.
Well, it's just it's awesome that, and that's what I think that's one of the coolest things about being a parent, and I mean, is being seeing. Remembering it, I mean, and not even, I mean, you don't even have to be a parent. Rather, it's a niece or nephew or a friend of yours kid. If you if you're old enough, when you see them experience it, and you're able to if you can remember that, which hopefully most people remember their childhood pretty well, for better or worse. But it's it just takes you back, and you remember that, and you just remember how, dude, I can remember how fucking, when I had those fucking pumps, dude, and I'll see my nephews with they're playing, so this is where I kind of clash with it now, because I was very, very, I would be I want to say the person that would rather train at a hole-in-the-wall gym type thing, one that looks like it's been fucking worn in. And I just was always kind of attracted to grit like that in a sense. So I'll give you a good story of accessories and whatnot. This was when being older, so this is how much the mood fucking changed for me wearing just with the basketball shoes. So yeah. We were playing summer league, and we had fucking 5 or 6 guys for these games at this certain stretch, because summer people would go on vacations. We were kind of short-handed anyway, so we basically had to play the whole game. And we were playing this team Bridgeport, and they came in, and they had their warm-ups on, because I don't want to fucking say it for all of them, but you would say in that area, for where around here it's kind of uppity, if you will. So okay. they all had the matching fucking warm ups, and had they all had the same shoes, and they were if looks were to kill, dude, they're dressed to the nines, and I come in with nothing but a fucking shoebox that has my shoes in it. I've got my fucking uniform already on. I'm just wearing this fucking. I just got this old fucking ratty fucking shoebox that has my fucking basketball shoes in it, and we ended up beating them. I always fucking said, like, because my nephews, and this isn't to their, I mean, this is, kids they look up to the athletes just like we did, when you were whoever you liked as a kid.
Yeah.
And, like, they got, like, the leg sleeves or the arm sleeves. And, I mean, there were people, like, I feel like Allen Iverson was the first person I can remember to have, like, any type of sleeve. And,
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't really I wasn't a kid, but I was still young.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, like I've never been a fan of that personally, but I don't say anything to them. Like I would never be like, hey, get that shit off of your arm. You know what I mean? Like I would never like be like that because that's kind of the era we're in. And it was like they didn't have like, and this is such a like thing that gets brought up a lot because like the 90s NBA and the 80s NBA was a lot more, they weren't, I mean, I'll say this, I don't think they definitely weren't more skilled. A lot of players were skilled. Now, you had your Larry Bird, your Michael Jordans, your Magic Johnsons. I'm not saying there wasn't incredible talent. There was. But I'm saying, like, what I'm trying to get at is you can't really compare eras. Like, I just feel like it's not fair to do that.
Yeah.
But
no.
But one thing you can compare is the style of shit that was played, and rather the defense, because there's been debates on if the defense was actually better then. But one thing it was a lot fucking harder, and it was not. I mean, I'm saying this to a guy that's a hockey fan, so I laugh saying it because hockey. I mean, compared to basketball, that's a collision sport to a contact sport. You know what I mean? Or if you even, it's not even a contact sport anymore. It was in the 90s, but it's just one of those things. Like but they didn't, because of that. I don't know if it was more of that era, but they didn't have like they weren't really accessorized. You know what I mean? Like there weren't armbands and leg like armbands and leg sleeves and shit. Like it just
now
was
like
it just goes with the time. You know what I mean?
They got like paintings on like cleats and like shoes now, and like which I get. Like that's cool. Maybe they got like their country's flag or something like on or whatever now. Like it's that's cool. You're representing your country. I get that. But yeah, the armbands and like I started seeing that in like softball. Just not a fan. Just like, dude.
Yeah, I'm not either. I won't lie. If I would see somebody my age wearing it, I probably
like, why are you wearing spandex? Like, why are you wearing spandex on your arm, bro? Like, take it off.
Yeah, dude. Like, if I saw somebody, I'd probably be like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing? But I don't, like I said, for the kids, I'm not angry at the kids because that's just the era we live in. That the players they see, they'll, but when it's people our age, I won't give them a pass. Nah, they saw, but it's whatever. I guess, but it's like how I get mad at this goes off cuff, but every time if we're ever on the phone, every time I deliver this CrossFit gym, I just always start bitching about it. I'm like, I don't know why. And a lot of people love CrossFit and enjoy it if it's good workout and you get yourself healthier. I don't like, but man, for some reason, every time I fucking see that place, I always shit on it, no matter what. And I have no reason to fucking hate CrossFit. But God, dude, just going off the rails on that one. But
God, yeah, crazy. All right, you want to get into the question of the week now?
Yeah,
I feel like we're going to talk about this quite a lot.
Yeah, we'll be on this one for a minute. So yeah, let's go ahead and fucking roll into it. I won't get to the.
All right,
man.
So,
Low Tech Tommy, I'm minimizing YouTube boxes. I'm on Insta. I mean, I feel like I'm really accomplishing something right now. Just to let you know, I'm multitasking. This is a first.
All right. So the question of the week this week is, what was your first job, and how much were you getting paid? So we got quite a few here to read off. So let's do it, shall we? Here we go. This one is from Nikki Bin. What up, Nikki Bin? Now, has Nikki ever commented before? Are you new here, Nikki?
I don't know.
Well, thanks for commenting, Nikki. We appreciate you.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Nikki Bin says, daycare worker after school, $8 an hour, and that was a big deal back then.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I feel like all of our jobs that we're about to read off, no matter what it was getting paid, it was a big deal back then. 100%.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I don't know how old Nikki is, but she it would be $8 an hour when I started my first. I'd have been like, fuck yeah, for sure. So that is,
dude, 100%. 100%.
However long back then is for shit. That was a good wage in my time. If you're close to my age, Nikki.
Hell yeah. Next one here is from the Cowboy Cardboard Warrior. Says, I had several paper routes, which I can't remember how much I earned, followed by a dishwasher at an ice cream based restaurant, which was probably minimum wage, $3.35. Holy fuck. Which I left to work at a record store, Strawberries, if you know,
Yeah.
for $3.55 per hour, also minimum wage, $3.55.
Yeah, Brian's probably. I'm not sure how old Brian is, but he's.
Insane.
That was what John. I think John Hilligus told us that. Shout out to John. He. I think that was around his minimum wage. So if he's around John's age, I'd check out.
It's crazy. This one here is from Cameron. What up, Cam? Cam says, rolling burritos at Gizzo's Coastal Mexican.
Hold on a minute.
I'm probably definitely not saying that right because I'm not that. I'm not.
Going to their page.
And he was doing it in high school for $6.75 an hour in 2006. Left them to work for UPS for $8.50 an hour. I was working 3 jobs at a time before the driving gig took off. Stayed with the company ever since, making $49 an hour by the end of the current contract. It's been a long road. What was your first job, Dave and Luke? Oh, don't worry. We will get to that.
We will.
Just hang tight, Cameron. This next one is from B-Rad Mo. Brad Moser. Shout out to Brad. Says, an actor. I was 12, 13, worked every other day due to child labor laws and made like $500 for a 2-month run of a play. Nice.
Worked every other due to child labor laws. What the fuck? So chill. You can let kids labor, but just not too much. Is that what? Because I didn't think kids were allowed to have an actual. Jack, you know what I mean? I can see where your head's going. Fuck. The Temu executives right now are fucking looking. They're looking the other way at us right now.
Yeah, no.
Killing us.
This one is from Union Box Smashers, who's also in the chat joining us live on YouTube. What up? Says, 2009, I was the official ice cream cone holder at a county fair. My job was to hold people's cones while they tie their shoes or discipline their kids. $8 an hour. It wasn't much, but it was honest work.
What? Holy shit.
All right, since you're here in the chat,
yes.
This might be delayed too, but like...
Holy...
Like, you hold on. You had to hold people's ice cream cones? Did you just, like, look for random people and be like, excuse me, sir, you need me to hold your cone? Like, I want to know. I have questions.
So I know I gotta get this answer because this is making me like. So I'm trying to think. So 2009. So 2009.
Not that long ago.
This was. I'm about to fucking shit my pants again. But no, I'm not really. But so just thinking they have them looking around and they see a family and they see a kid about to get reamed by their parents.
Excuse me, need me to hold your cone while you discipline your child? While you spank him right here in front of everybody?
Fuck.
That's funny.
Hold on. Man, that's incredible. That is one of the best. I'm sorry, man. I'm fucking dead. So
ice cream cone holder.
Ice cream cone holder while they tie their shoes or discipline their kids. So tying their shoes would have been the boring part of the job. But it might have been the less awkward part of the job, too. Dude, you imagine just standing there holding an ice cream cone while some dad's just bitching their son or daughter.
I know, dude. Oh, fuck. All right.
Oh.
This next one is from Gimme More Cosplay. What up, More? More says Jack in the Box for $7.45 an hour. Jack in the Box. That's nice. That's good.
That's good.
Shout out to More too, huh? She's we're talking about the Discord channel. She's very lively in the Discord channel. Love it. Sending pictures of her day and all that good stuff. So huge shout out to More. This one here is from that dude looking me. Says either milking cows on the family farm, but since I was family, I was paid less. And that was a no-go. First actual paycheck job, working for my aunt and uncle on the family campground. I think it was $4 or something like that an hour. Nice.
See, I wonder if that was under the table, because that wouldn't have been terrible if it wasn't taxed, you know?
Yeah.
If that would have been, it makes me curious. Let me know on that, Luke. If it was under the table, that'd have been pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
This next one is from Jake Lee Bowden? I was a painter for Salisbury University. I think it was $7.25 an hour. Nice.
Salisbury
That's
University.
some patience, man. I know some people find painting like therapeutic, but like when I'm painting the walls in my house, I'm just like over it so quick.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, it might be my last name, but I've always said I don't like to do it. Yeah, man, I'm with you. When the last time I did this, never mind. I was just thinking about how big of a pain in the ass that was. You are correct, sir.
Yeah. This next one here is from our one and only DHL driver, Rick Star. Rick says, car washer at a Shell station on the wealthy side of town, $8 an hour, but it was evident that the owner would steal hours from your paycheck. Ooh. And plus, customers would treat us like shit. And now, 11 years later, that's my current route, and people are still treating me like shit. Well, that deserves a big old
fuck.
That's just fuck.
Fuck.
Oh, Rick, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. Hang in there, Rick. This next one is from Aggie48. I'm fucking on one tonight. Aggie says, I was a supervisor at a Salvation Army donation center. I made only $8, and that was only because my manager promised me a bonus, but stiffed me because he had a grudge against me. Thankfully, I learned how to steal from the register, so I gave myself a $200 bonus every Friday. Oh, wait, did I read the wrong one? I just read porno parcels. Fucking YOLO. Yeah, I just gave Aggie a bad rap. Yo. Told you I was on one. Porno parcel.
See, RJ, listen, RJ I'm trying to freaking multitask still, so I just totally derailed. Damn.
Fuck.
I mean, I wasn't there to support that one.
So that was porno parcels. I apologize, Aggie. Real quick, UBS Smasher commented, said,
yeah, that's what I was reading.
I wore a sign my boyfriend out of the idea. What? I wore a sign my boyfriend.
I wore a sign
idea?
my boyfriend thought of
the idea. I'm really hot, so I was 100% game. A jailbait. I already had a bunch of dads trying to give me something. I was just trying to get paid for it.
God. That sounds like a terrible first fucking job. Oh man.
Did you get any more? Okay, next one is Yeah, but I'd like you to hold something else. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, what?
Dude, we haven't had this, we haven't been through this, we haven't wrecked the question of the week this bad in a while.
Oh my God. I'll give you a cone. This next one is from, yeah, I'm actually going to read theirs now. First job I had was working for my friend's mom. They worked as videographers for weddings and quinceañeras. I don't know if I said that right. All I had to do was hook up their lights and unplug cables back in the days with them old, bulky-ass cameras. But I got $50 every time, free food, and a party to hang afterwards. That's a good deal. For your first job? I mean,
hell yeah.
You be there for the wedding, hook up shit, you get free food, and the party. I mean, I think we talked about this before. I'm a huge wedding guy. I love going to weddings. Like, I think weddings are a blast. So
modern day wedding crasher. I don't even know what that means. You know how I have to say modern day wedding crasher because that movie came out 20 years ago. That's all. That's the only reason I said it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying crashing weddings like how they did it in the movie, but just enjoying weddings is what I mean. Like you were one. I'm the same way, dude. I would be. You can put me in any situation. If it's a celebratory thing, I'm gonna have a good time.
100%. Next one is from the Henry Film Co. The Henry Film Co. says, bagger at a measure. I made $4. Yeah, I can't pronounce half of these places tonight.
Where am I? I can't even fucking. Oh, there's Henry.
Measure. I made $4 an hour. $4. Fuck.
Maybe that was minimum wage before the 5.15 because that.
Yeah. I remember 5.15. That's how much I got paid to start my first job, which we'll get into in a minute. This next one is from Ruger54. Ruger says, my first official job was UPS. Started 3 weeks after turning 18. I'll be hitting 20 years in August. First job was under the table, cleaning boats for fishing guides in Kenai, Alaska.
Nice.
Damn. Hitting 20 years in August. Cool. Good for you, Ruger.
That's awesome. Dude, that is badass.
Hell yeah.
In both counts.
And shout out to Alaska. Are you still in Alaska? That's what I want to know. This next one is from PNW. UPS man says, I worked at a Cinnabon in 1995 and was making $4.25 an hour. Dude, I'd be fat as fuck if I worked at a Cinnabon. Holy shit.
If you worked at it, dude, same.
My God.
It would be.
Just the smell just hits you and then you immediately want to go buy one.
But you know what they say? I mean, I don't know if you were going. I mean, you worked at a hot dog place, didn't you?
I worked at Nathan's.
So but don't they say normally if you work at this place, like if you work at McDonald's,
you would get sick of it?
Yeah. I feel like that I wouldn't.
Dude, I'd have a Nathan's hot dog loaded with some chili sauce. Oh, my God. Ugh. God, make me hungry right now. Sorry, everybody. Just made everybody's mouths water. This next one is from, where are we? Nina 76. All these new people. What up, Nina? Nina says, cashier for $3.75 an hour back in 1993. $3.75. Whew. Man.
Dude.
$3.75.
I don't know if you saw this, but John Hilligus just commented. Just commented.
Are you watching live, John?
Hilly maybe on John's the go. My man.
This next one is from A. Ortiz 881. Somebody else new too. I don't think I've ever seen his name either. What up, buddy? A. Ortiz says dishwasher first $6.50 an hour.
Nice.
So we're a little all over the grade scale right now, but the $3.75, fuck, man, that is insane. Let's read. John Hilligus is here now. John says, I had several I had several paper routes, which I can't remember how much I earned. How the fuck did I just get there? I just pulled it up and it somehow just disappeared.
Well, no, he just said on this one, 1987, I worked at a Chick-fil-A in our mall making $3.35 an hour.
Dude, we're getting lower and lower. $3.35. Hold on.
John, that was in 1987.
1987 was $3.35. And in 1993, it was $3.75. I wonder if that was minimum wage. 1993, $3.75.
Went up 40 cents, just big dog.
Fuck. $3.35. Dude, I was born in 1987. God damn it.
3. Probably still shitting my pants. Definitely was pissing my pants. I was doing that well into the 21st century.
Fuck.
Huge shout out to everybody. There was also one more that happened to be on our story, actually. So let me read this one. This one's from Dale. This is from Blueski_OG. Dale says he was a parts driver in '94 for $10 an hour. 1 year later, same company, installing car alarms and accessories at car dealerships. 60% of the labor charge. Average about $450 a week with weekends off.
Damn, that ain't bad.
That's not bad at all. Shit.
$450 a week with weekends off first. Fuck yeah, dude. That wasn't bad.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, you want to go first or you want me to go first to tell the stories here? Go ahead. What was your first job?
Well, I made it.
How much were you getting paid?
When you put up the question of the week, I kind of put the little spoiler up there because I answered. I don't like to answer on the actual post, but I'll answer on I just put on the Insta story. So I was when I was 16 years old, I was a field keeper for our local baseball field, and I basically, what that entailed was opening and shutting the park, turning the water on and off, cutting the grass, weed eating, locking, unlocking the concession, like the buildings, like pretty.
Did you paint the lines?
Pretty basic job. No, I didn't do the lines. The coaches of the other teams would do all that shit. I just had to cut the outfield. And so I was saying on the Insta story, minimum wage was $5.15 an hour then, but so I worked for the town I lived in, and they had their little city council, and so that it's mostly, as most small towns, and the councilors I think are mostly old people anyway. So they were like, "What's minimum wage? $5.75 an hour," and I was aware that it was $5.15 because looking for a job, that I was aware of that because I knew that was probably what I was going to make, or around that. And so when they said $5.75, I remember I was like, I didn't say anything, but my ears perked up. I was like, what? They said $5.75. They don't know it's $5.15, and they're like, okay, yep, we'll pay you $5.75 an hour. And inside, I was like, yeah, it was like 60 cents more than minimum wage, and I just thought it was fucking. I was like, this is awesome, $5.75 an hour, and the only story I'll tell you, I'll have to tell. I can tell another story of that probably on the Patreon on the paywall, because that was I told Dave a really funny story from that era. Which I don't know. I may get into that one another time, but this revolving around the job, I'll tell this story because this was more because of the job. So me being a 16-year-old kid, I overslept like most of us did, and I lived at home. Obviously, I lived at home. I was, but so my room, like the side door of our house where our laundry room was, you could get into my room from that way because I lived downstairs in the basement. And I guess I'm assuming either it must have been my stepmom or somebody told this guy, because I'm getting a knock on the door down at the side the side of the house, and it's one of the parents, one of the coaches of the fucking local team, one of the teams there, and he is pissed off because the gates are locked. Nobody can get in. The water's obviously shut off because nobody, I wasn't there to open all this shit up. So they, I wake myself up, fucking throw some clothes on. And I told Dave, like, from the main road of where you would pull in to get to this place, if the gate is shut, there's not a lot of parking. So as I pull up, I'm like I'm like parked in way behind everybody. So I get out and I'm like walking. I have the keys in my hand, and every fucking parent like is just giving me the fucking stink eye, like, you motherfucker. Just like, and that fucking guy that came and got me, he was just shitting on me, going, yeah, fucking have to fuck him up, like, it's fucking blah blah blah. And dude, I told Dave, I said, like, the diehard parents that were either coaches or like living through their kids or really, really, really into it, they were giving me the fucking death stare. Then like the parents that aren't even involved and just are showing up because they have to, they're giving me the death stare because it's making them last the experience longer. Like it didn't matter what they were doing. And I'm just walking up. If you've watched Game of Thrones, I told Dave, I was like, I felt like Cersei Lannister doing the fucking Walk of Atonement, just minus getting, stripped naked and getting spit on and shit. But it's like they were fucking mad. But that was my first job, and and it was $5.75 an hour.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Well, there you go. There's Luke's answer to that one. For me, it was I worked at a gas station. That was actually my first job, and I would like stock the shelves. I'd be like the maintenance guy basically for like 4 hours every night, and from like 4 to 8 or something. Like, I was making like $5.15 an hour, and I would restock like the coolers, the Pepsi products, the Coke products, the Snapple, whatever, waters. I would restock all those coolers, make sure the shelves were clean, this, that. But this and then like I kind of moved up in the job, like, from like stocking shelves and shit. Next thing I know, I'm working the cashier. Now I'm a cashier person for 8 hours, and I'm working longer shifts, making more money. Blah 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 blah. Well, anyways, at this job, especially if you work like the evening shift from like 3 to 11:30 or something like that, it was, after 8 o'clock, it usually dies out. Like, it usually dies out in there. It's not very busy. You see maybe like 5 customers for like the next couple hours. Well, that's when like all the fun would go down. Like, I mean, we bought our skateboards to work, and we would skate around the inside of the store, grind on like the bottom shelves and stuff for the shelving units, just absolutely just causing mayhem and inside the store. And then there was I got another thing, like I got a lot of stories with this job, and one thing was I ended up getting arrested one time on the job. And go ahead, Luke.
Nothing. I was just dying. I didn't know you were going to tell that story. I laughed at this one, but it is funny.
So like, I ended up getting arrested like while I was working, and what happened was, this pretty brunette walks up to the register with like a 6-pack, and just me being the very kind person that I am, I sold it to her without even looking at her ID because, she was cute and she was buying beer. Like, that's what teenagers would do. And so, next thing I know, like 3 police officers come walking in right as soon as she walks out. And then
set up.
And then, like she comes walking back in, and then like the guy looks at me and he's like, did you just ring her up? And I was like, yeah. They're like, she's underage, right? I was like, no. She was like, yeah, you said you never even asked for the ID. I was like, nah, I didn't. you know? And then he's like, come over here. And then luckily my partner, who was the other cashier there, was like, all right, I guess I'll fucking work now. So then, he's running the cashier. I'm talking with the three police. They're like, listen, you're basically under arrest right now for selling alcohol to a minor. And it was a cop sting. It was a police sting. They were going around seeing what places would sell this girl alcohol. Well, guess what? I wasn't the only one in the area that did it. But anyways, so I kind of, I technically got arrested, and they didn't walk me out of the store in handcuffs. They didn't cause a scene or anything like that. They basically wrote me a court appearance ticket. Go to court. The judge says, I'm going to have to do however long of community service for this. And funny story, never, ever did I do any community service. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if the charges got dropped. I don't know who my parents know. But, like, man.
Dave's had a warrant out for almost 20 years just floating around there.
Probably a warrant out for my arrest in Ulster County.
There's going to be somebody one day. They're going.
Somebody's going to turn me in.
This one's been a live warrant for decades.
And then, like there was like that. It's like that happened at the job, and skateboarding. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, you like really sort of just like run the place, but it was. I mean, that gas station is no longer there. They went under, but it was a cool first job.
I mean, it's like, I feel like, and they got this attractive girl to go in to buy, like, what a fucking, I guarantee you, yeah, they were just like, they probably looked in there and saw you, they're like, yep, this guy'll do it.
Go and to that kid.
Yeah, like, what motherfuckers, dude, like, what a fucking, they don't send some dude that looks questionable age, they make sure that's like, crafty bastards they were that night.
Sons of bitches. But yeah, that was my first job, working at a gas station. But for $5.15 an hour, who'd have thought I'd be sitting here making what I am now?
Dude, I mean, the only difference now from back then is, I mean, it wasn't even that long ago, but dude, I feel like, well, like we were talking about inflation, about how making, if you say you make six figures now, doesn't have the same ring to it. I feel like back then, though, it still did. Like, if you think about it, like, think about back then, if you would have said what you were making now, you'd have been like, man, you would probably think, you're like, dude, I'll have a couple $100,000 in my bank account, probably.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not even, you don't even fucking fathom it at the time.
Yeah. Good times.
That was, man.
Good times,
that was a good. That was a nice nostalgia episode to go down memory lane. That 100%. Was. And it started with the question of the week, and then we just kind of went with talked with more, and it was man. It's always nice to fucking visit them. I had my second job. When I made minimum wage, I was like kind of bummed. I was like, damn, man, I'm taking a pay cut. And I did. I really did, man. I was thinking that 60 cents an hour pay cut. But what's so funny, I'll say this, though, just of how easy it was to save money back then. Because when I had, when I did the first, I was still a minor with the field keeping job. And then I was technically, an adult when I worked for the city. Mm-hmm. And since I would work 4/10s, so I'd always work 40 hours a week. Minimum wage after taxes, this makes me laugh so hard thinking about it. I obviously didn't have any expenses, and I lived at home. I didn't have a cell phone yet or anything, so so after taxes, I'd make $160 a week.
Okay.
And for the summer, and I would make this like, I wish, like I said, I also didn't have bills. It was a different time. But I would pocket $60 and put $100 in my savings account.
Okay.
And I did that every week. And I think about it now, and I'm like, I used to be able to make $60 last over a fucking week because I didn't have a debit card. Like I don't know. I can't remember when got a debit card. It wasn't until I was like a little bit older. I mean, or like earlier 20s, maybe like 23, something like that. I feel like I got one, maybe 22. But when I was like 18, 19 years old, I didn't have a debit card. So $60 would literally last me. I would have some money left over when I would get my check and take out the next 60. I might have like $7 or $8 left. You know what I mean? And it's just like, wow. I used to save. I feel like I saved money better then than I do now, but I also didn't have a family to support and have all this other shit. So it just makes me laugh. Like, God, I used to be able to make $60 last a week. What the fuck happened? But
oh yeah, man, good times. Fuck,
for sure,
good times. So I mean, real quick too. I mean, this is something I would just love to bring up because I'm a big hockey fan. So if you're a hockey fan, or maybe not, you still may have heard of the name Alexander Ovechkin. So
yeah.
So Ovi is currently on the way to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time scoring record with the most goals scored by any NHL player. Wayne Gretzky holds the record at 894 goals in 1,487 games. Well, tonight as we record, Alex Ovechkin had 2 goals tonight in tonight's game, which he ties Wayne Gretzky's record tonight with 894 goals in one game less than what Wayne Gretzky did. So Gretzky did it in 1,487 games. Alex Ovechkin did it in 1,486. Ties Gretzky's record. Now, here is the most legendary part about this. Because at the end of the hockey games, if the opposing team is down by like a goal, they usually pull the goalie for the extra attacker.
Right.
Ovechkin had the puck with a wide open net to break Wayne Gretzky's record to have the most goals ever scored, and he passed it up.
Fucking
he passed it up. He wants to score a legitimate goal for his breaking record. He wants to score a legitimate goal. He doesn't want an easy empty netter. That is some
good for him.
Legendary shit.
Good for him.
Yeah, man.
But when you're at that level, and being the best, that's what the best fucking do. You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
That they don't. I mean, whether people believe in Greek mythology or not, but like I always think of like the movie Troy, like Achilles fought Hector, and in the movie, Hector fucking earlier in their fight, he like trips over a stone and falls to the ground, and Achilles, he's like, get up. I'm not trying to, said I'm not trying. I'm like, when you're the best, that's what you fucking do. And that's what I mean. That's what fucking.
Like what's also pretty awesome too is that like the last 3 games, Wayne Gretzky's been following Ovechkin, going to game to see him break the record.
It's got to be kind of a
weird
thing because there's just some records like you don't think are going to be like even like LeBron breaking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's points record. That was something I thought as like growing up. I used to think that was going to be so untouchable because it was like nobody's going to ever play 20 years to play this long and be that effective. And then LeBron did it, and then like. With Wayne Gretzky's record, I'd heard always people say like, "Oh, nobody's going to get close to that one," and then obviously here we are, and it's it's as cliche as it is to say, records are meant to be broken, and
But it's been like 30. I think they said 31 years. Gretzky's held that record for 31 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
that's awesome.
That's so fucking awesome that he did that, man.
Yeah.
Good for him.
He has, I think they have like 6 more games probably left in the season, so it's just, he'll probably do it next game. Like,
and assuming, like...
He's got 41 goals on the season.
Assuming, would he retire after this year, or will he keep playing, would you say?
You know, it really makes you wonder. The Capitals won a cup, like back in like the late 2000s here, like 2018 or something around there. So he has a Stanley Cup. He's about to break. I mean, he's up there in age too, but those Russians, they're just machines. Those Russian athletes are just machines.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's people like Ovechkin, not to fucking dive in, but that's what we all thought. Like I always say. I'm not diving into politics, but I will just say this with the Russia-Ukraine war. It's people like Ovechkin, we all thought and then I always thought in my mind like Ivan Drago, you just think of these. But I'm not taking any away from Ovechkin, but yeah, when you said that, I wanted to make sure to throw that in there because I don't think the Soviet force isn't what we thought it was in the military fighting world, but that's not to take away from this fucking guy. He is a machine, and he is a fucking beast. And I'm glad he's going to take it to fucking, but I mean, maybe, if he still wants to, if he's got any more left in the tank, he'll fucking come back. But if they got 6 games, I'd say, that's in the bag. He'll
awesome.
break it.
It's awesome, dude. So thank you guys for joining us this episode. It was definitely a fun one. It was a good time. Lots of laughs there. Oh my gosh. And thank you to everybody that chimed in on the question of the week. That was an awesome one. So everybody listen, be good out there, be safe. And Luke, I'm Dave. We'll see you all next week.
Later, everybody.